Quit your 9-to-5 job because, let's face it, you hate it. After working a 9-to-5 job for just 2 months, I quit and never looked back. No, but seriously, if you're like most people, you wake up each morning and think, I need to go to work. Or how many days until the weekend? And don't forget the dread you feel on Sundays because guess what? The whole cycle starts all over again on Monday. This is an extremely common dilemma, extreme dislike for something that takes up a third of your life or more. I mean, you're watching this video because you're trying to design your best life, and a crap job is just not going to cut it. Now, if you like your job, stop watching this video. Or if you've never had the entrepreneurial itch or starting your own business, then yeah, click off of this. But if you don't like your job or you've always wanted to do your own thing, I think you're going to find this video extremely valuable. I know you will, because this is exactly what I would do if I could start over and escape the so-called rat race. Do something you actually enjoy. Have time freedom, feel way more fulfilled, and just make a lot more money. And guys, if you want my free training on how I built my 7-figure business known as Rental Arbitrage and how I quit my job where I was working 90+ hours a week, active duty in the military, I'll link it down below. It'll cover all the steps you need to actually start your own rental arbitrage business today. Now, let's bust the myth that everyone believes about starting a business. There's this huge misconception that it costs a lot of money to start a business. This is absolutely false. And in this video, I'll show you a proven way that actually works while costing you barely any upfront money. People think it costs a lot of money to start a business, which obviously is totally wrong. In most cases, it can cost a lot of business, but I'm gonna show you how it does not cost a lot. So let's work backwards, because it's going to help you understand how much money you need to survive without your job. So the first thing you're going to ask yourself is, how much money do I currently make at my job? And you wanna write that number down. So let's say, for example, you make $60,000 a year. So if you're making $60,000 a year at 40 hours per week, so 40 hours, that means you're making about $30 an hour at your job. And this equates to about $240 per day. Now, that's if you work a 5-day week. And if you have lower or higher numbers than this, then it's going to be obviously a little bit different, but this is just the example that I'm going to use. Now, to replace your current income, you're going to need to be making this much money 5 days per week on average. So in this example, it's going to be about $1,200 a week. So $1,200 per week, just 4 different ways of looking at it. So the next thing that we're going to do is figure out how much money we need to live. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to add up all of our bills, gas, utilities, mortgage, cars, everything that you could think of that you have to pay for. Food, cars, transportation, gas, whatever, utilities, everything. Then we're going to add 15% on top of all of our bills right here. So let's say we add this all up and it's going to equate to about $2,500. So $25 or $2,500 per month. So that's about $600 per week, or about $625 per week to be more exact, that we need to be making. So while you're doing all this brainstorming, you need to still be working. So please, please, please keep your job, keep that income coming in, because when you start a business, there's definitely some delay from actually working to seeing actual results. This is super, super important. And I say that because this is exactly what I did. While I was active duty military in the Navy, I was working very, very long hours, often feeling stuck in a routine that wasn't getting me closer to the life that I wanted, but I made a decision to take control of my future. And rental arbitrage became the way that I did that. Today, that business model makes me over $150,000 a month. And if I can do this while juggling a demanding full-time job, so can you. So let's break down the 3 types of businesses you need to be aware of before you get started. So there's 3 types of business you can start. The first is the needle in the haystack business. This is what most people think of when they hear the word entrepreneur. It's the unicorn companies like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, or Tesla. These companies are incredibly successful stories, but let's be real for a second. For every unicorn, there are thousands of startups that crash and burn. Think about that. All of the social media networks that tried to compete with Facebook, or all the electric vehicle companies that wanted to be the next Tesla, 99% of them failed. Why? Because these businesses require massive upfront investment, years of effort, and a ton of luck. So the odds are stacked against you. And I'm not saying this to discourage you, to tell you not to start that crazy wild idea that you have, but I'm saying this is to make it clear that these type of businesses are not ideal for someone just starting out. I didn't even consider doing this or going this route because I didn't have the time, money, or the desire to wait years to see results. So for most people, needle in a haystack businesses are not the way to start your entrepreneurial journey. Next, we have passive cash flow businesses. These are businesses that generate consistent income with little effort once they're set up. Examples are like blogs, YouTube channels, real estate portfolios, and my favorite, rental arbitrage. These businesses take time to build, but once they're running, the income becomes steady and predictable. The beauty of rental arbitrage is that it allows you to see results faster than most other passive models. And when I started, I was able to generate profits from my first property within months. And actually, even sooner than that, it was like within my first month, like within 30 days. I wasn't spending years building an audience like I would with a blog or a YouTube channel. And finally, there's a service-based business. This is exactly what it sounds like, offering a service to clients in exchange for payment. This could be web design, photography, car detailing, consulting, tutoring, or just about any skill you can monetize. Service-based businesses are great because they're quick to start and can bring in the cash almost immediately. So for example, I've helped people launch rental arbitrage businesses through my consulting firm, and many of them earn their first dollar within weeks. The downside, you're trading your time for money. So there's a limit to how much you can scale unless you build out a whole team and automations and learn how to delegate. So why did I choose rental arbitrage? Now, let me tell you why I chose rental arbitrage over the other two. It's simple. It combines the scalability of a passive cash flow business with the results that are faster, and they're super fast, similar to a service-based business. Now, when I was in the Navy, I didn't have a lot of time, and I certainly didn't have a lot of money to throw around. But rental arbitrage didn't require me to own property, and the startup costs were minimal. All I needed was the ability to hustle, negotiate with landlords, and provide value to both landlords and guests. Now, rental arbitrage allowed me to take properties I don't own, furnish them, and then rent them out to nurses, business professionals, and families for 2 to 4 times the monthly rent in profit. So it gave me the financial freedom I was craving and a way to scale my income without sacrificing all of my time. Today, my portfolio generates over $150,000 per month, and I'm sharing this because I know it can work for you too. Now, I'll link a video in the description that explains exactly how rental arbitrage works and how you can get started. Passive cash flow businesses versus service-based businesses. I want to go over this real quick. Now that we've outlined the 3 types of businesses, let's compare the 2 that make the most sense for someone just starting out. So passive cash flow businesses and service-based businesses, each has its own pros and cons, and understanding these will help you decide which one is the best for you. So to make this clearer, let's imagine a graph. On one axis, you have time, how long it takes to see results. On the other axis, you have results, which we'll define as money. Passive cash flow businesses like rental arbitrage, just a little bit slower than a service business. In the beginning, you're putting in a lot of effort to set up the foundation. Now for rental arbitrage, this means finding properties, negotiating leases, furnishing them, and setting up systems for guest management. You might not see results like the same day, but here's the key. Once it's up and running, the income becomes consistent and scalable. Now, the graph for a passive cash flow business looks like a flat line at first, followed by a sharp incline as the business takes off. On the other hand, service-based businesses have a much steeper incline at the start, and these businesses allow you to generate income almost immediately because you're charging for your time and skills. So the first day you start thinking about doing a service-based business, you almost make money right off the bat. Now, for example, if you're offering web design or consulting, you can start making money with your very first client. The trade-off is that service-based business often require you to trade your time for money, which can limit scalability unless you build a team or outsource all your tasks. The graph for a service-based business starts high, but then levels off over time unless you actively work on scaling it. Now, here's what this means for you. If your main goal is to escape your 9-to-5 job as quickly as possible, a service-based business might be a better choice because it provides immediate cash flow. But if you're thinking long-term and want to build something that generates income without requiring constant effort and can as well help you quit your 9-to-5, if that's your goal. Now, if you like your 9-to-5, you just want some extra income or to generate some generational wealth, then this can be the option as well. A passive cash flow business like rental arbitrage is the way to go. Now, for me, rental arbitrage was the perfect balance. It's technically a passive business, but the results came faster than most other passive models, and I was able to just replace my Navy income within months. And as I scaled my portfolio, the income became truly life-changing. And if you want to see exactly how arbitrage works, I'll link a video in the description down below that walks exactly through the process. So the first step to starting any business is identifying your skill set or choosing a business model that aligns with your strengths. When I was in the Navy, I didn't have a traditional business background. I didn't have a degree or a pile of cash to invest. What I did have was grit, determination, and the willingness to learn. That's why rental arbitrage was such a great fit for me. It didn't require owning a property or having a ton of capital up front. All I needed was the ability to communicate, negotiate with landlords, and understand the basics of customer service. Think about your own skills. You might already have abilities you're not even considering as business opportunities. For example, are you great at graphic design? And that could definitely be a service-based business that could work for you. Do you have experience with project management? You should offer a consulting service. Are you detail-oriented? You could start a property management company or even, like what I do, rental arbitrage. Now, the key is to focus on high-value skills, HVS. These are skills that solve big problems for people and aren't easy for everyone to replicate. For example, a skill like babysitting is low value because most people can do that. But a skill like creating a professional video for a YouTuber, negotiating leases, or running paid ads is high value because it requires expertise and delivers significant results. Now, when I started rental arbitrage, I leaned into my ability to communicate and solve problems for landlords. Most landlords were hesitant at first, as you can imagine. I'm using their properties to profit from. They didn't know how rental arbitrage worked or how it would benefit them, but I positioned myself as a reliable partner who could provide consistent rent payments, take care of their properties, and that's how I secured my first few deals. And it's a strategy that I literally teach today. Step number 2, turning the skill into a service. Now, once you've identified your skill or business model, the next step is to turn it into a service. For me, rental arbitrage, this meant taking my ability to find properties, furnish them, and rent them out to high-value guests and scaling it into a full-fledged freaking business operation. Now, here's the thing. You don't need to be an expert to get started. In rental arbitrage, for example, I wasn't an expert in real estate or hospitality when I began. What I did have was enough knowledge to get started and the willingness to learn as I went. Now, the same applies to any skill-based business. You just need to be good enough to solve a problem and then improve over time. A key piece of advice I always share is to dedicate your mornings to learning and your afternoons to doing. Now, when I was starting out, I spent my mornings watching YouTube videos, reading articles, and absorbing as much information as I could while I was at work about rental arbitrage. Then, in the afternoons, I'd apply what I learned, whether it was reaching out to landlords, setting up properties, running numbers, doing analysis, tweaking my Airbnb listings. And for anyone looking to start rental arbitrage, I always recommend starting small, secure one property, learn the ropes, and use that experience to build confidence. Once you've got a system in place, scaling becomes much, much easier, and that's for every business. Step number 3, should you sell your services for free? So step 3 is one that often sparks debate. Should you work for free when you're starting out? My answer is yes, but strategically. When you're launching a business or building a skill, offering your services for free or at a significant discount, this can be a smart move to build trust, credibility, and most of all, a testimonial or a portfolio of testimonials. And when I started my rental arbitrage, I didn't technically work for free, but I went above and beyond to show landlords the value of partnering with me. I didn't try to negotiate lower rent or demand special terms up front. Instead, I focused on building relationships and just proving to them that I could be a reliable long-term tenant that took care of their properties and was a win-win for both of us. Now, this helped me secure my first few properties, which were the foundation for my business. For a service-based business, working for free at the start can look like offering your services to a handful of clients in exchange for testimonials and reviews. These early testimonials are gold because they provide social proof that you can deliver results, and you can show those to other people, proving that you're good at what you do. For example, if you're starting a web design business, you might offer to build a business or build businesses' websites for a few friends or local businesses at no cost. And in return, you get portfolio pieces, testimonials, and potentially referrals. Now, for rental arbitrage, think of your free work as the effort you put into convincing landlords to trust you. It might take a little extra time and effort, but the payoff is worth it. And once you've built your portfolio, whether it's properties, websites, or client success stories, you'll be in a position to start charging what you think you're actually worth, and you'll have people's word to back it. Step number 4, building a business website. Having an online presence is non-negotiable for any business, and in today's world, whether you're running a service-based business or a passive cash flow business like what I do, rental arbitrage, a professional website is essential, and it's the place where potential clients, in my case, landlords or guests, can learn about you, see your work, and reach out to you. For my rental arbitrage business, my online presence plays a huge role in attracting guests. Platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Furnish Finder do most of the heavy lifting, but having my own site allows me to showcase my properties, provide direct booking options, and establish credibility. For a service-based business, a website is even more critical. It's where you'll display your portfolio, client testimonials, your work, and pricing. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. A clean, simple website that clearly communicates what you offer, how to connect with you, and book whatever it is for your service. And the key is to make it easy for people to find you and trust that you're legit. If you're just starting out, there are plenty of affordable tools and templates to help you build a professional looking site. Don't overthink it. Your goal is to create a digital storefront that makes people want to work with you. Step number 5, and this is where the money starts rolling in, is advertising your services. So advertising is where most businesses either thrive or struggle. Now, the good news is advertising doesn't have to be expensive, especially when you're starting out. For rental arbitrage, platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Bookings.com, Furnish Finder essentially acted as a built-in advertising tool. They bring in guests looking for short-term rentals, which means I don't have to spend thousands on ads, and that's one of the reasons I love this business model. It does a lot of the marketing, or really all of the marketing for you. And if you're running a service-based business, advertising might look a little bit different. Here are a few low-cost strategies to get started. 1, Craigslist. It might not seem glamorous, but Craigslist is a great place to find local clients for services like photography, cleaning, or handyman work, whatever it may be, or even Facebook Marketplace, which is very similar to Craigslist, but a lot more updated. This is a free way to reach people in your area. Now, the next one is Fiverr and Upwork. If your service can be offered remotely, like graphic design or consulting, these platforms are excellent for finding clients. Now, for rental arbitrage, advertising isn't just about attracting guests, it's also about finding landlords who are willing to work with you. I often recommend using platforms like Zillow, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or even driving around your local area to find properties that fit your criteria. Once you've found potential properties, reach out to landlords with a clear pitch that explains how you'll be an ideal client for them. Number 6, charging clients. One of the biggest mistakes people make when starting out is undervaluing themselves. I get it. When you're new, it can feel awkward to charge what you're worth, but here's the thing. As you gain experience and build your reputation, you need to adjust your pricing accordingly. Now, when I started rental arbitrage, I was very conservative with my prices because I just wanted to get a bunch of bookings and a bunch of reviews, so then I could start charging higher prices. I didn't want to scare off any landlords or guests, so I kept my rates competitive. But as I built trust and my property started performing well, I increased my rates. Today, each property in my portfolio generates about 3 to 4 times the monthly rent and profit. Now, that's not an exaggeration. It's the kind of income rental arbitrage can produce when done correctly. Now, for service-based businesses, think about your pricing in terms of value, not just time. For example, if you're a graphic designer and you create a logo that helps a business increase in revenue, that's worth far more than just the hours you spent designing it. Don't be afraid to charge accordingly. Principles. And it's one of the reasons I've been able to grow so quickly. Now, for service-based businesses, customer service is equally important and actually more important. It's not just about delivering a great product or service. It's about how you communicate, how quickly you respond to inquiries, and how you handle any issues that arise, because they're going to, regardless. Great customer service leads to repeat business, referrals, and the best part, a strong reputation that people can trust. So when should you quit your job? Now, at some point, you'll need to make the leap and leave your 9-to-5 job, but when is the right time? The answer depends on your financial situation, your risk tolerance, and the progress of your business. Now, for me, I didn't quit my job in the Navy until my rental arbitrage business was generating enough income to cover my expenses. I didn't want to take unnecessary risks, so I waited until I was confident that the business was sustainable. And if you're building a service-based business, you might reach this point sooner because the income is more immediate. Now, with the passive cash flow business, it might take a little bit longer in most cases, not in my case, not in any of my mentees' cases for rental arbitrage, but the payoff is worth it when it comes to any other passive income business as well. Now, when it comes to building your own business while working a full-time job, it isn't easy, but it's absolutely worth it. I've been there. I was serving in the Navy, working long hours and living in a constant cycle of work, eat, sleep, repeat. I knew I wanted more out of life, and I also knew that the only way to achieve financial freedom was to start something of my own. That's when I found rental arbitrage. Now, this business model doesn't require a ton of money. It didn't demand me to be an expert in real estate, and it had the potential to replace my Navy income in a matter of weeks to months. Now, fast forward to today, and my rental arbitrage business makes me over $150,000 a month. And it's a business that gives me the time freedom and financial independence I always dreamed of. And it's also a business that I've seen countless others succeed with, regardless of their background, education, or starting point. Now, here's the bottom line. You don't have to gamble on a needle in a haystack business to achieve your goals. You don't need to risk your life savings, and you don't need to quit your job. Start small, build consistently, and take the steps I've outlined here, and you'll set yourself up for its success. And if you're thinking about starting a rental arbitrage business, if rental arbitrage sounds like something you'd like to explore, then I'll link a video down below and my free training that breaks down exactly how the business model works, why it's so effective, and how you can get started. In the video, I'll show you how I went from securing my first property to managing a portfolio that generates 6 figures every single month. Whether you're working a 9-to-5, serving in the military, or just looking for a way to escape the grind or create some extra income, this business model could be the answer. Now, here's my advice. Take action. The longer that you wait, the harder it becomes. I've learned that nothing in life is guaranteed, but odds of building a successful business increase dramatically when you just start, regardless of where you're at. Just starting and having imperfect action. Now, even if your first attempt isn't perfect, you'll learn invaluable skills along the way, skills that will serve you in your future endeavors. Your work makes up a third of your life. Why spend that time doing something that you hate or something that just doesn't provide you enough income? Design your life in a way that aligns with your goals and values. For me, that meant creating a business that not only generates wealth, but also gives me the freedom to spend time with my family, travel, and help others achieve the same success. And if you got value from this, make sure to check out the video I linked down below for more actionable steps and insights. And remember, you only got one shot at this life. Make it count. If y'all like this type of content, hit me down below. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if y'all want to see more videos like this. Let me know what you didn't like about the video. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.